I know the leaving of the birds. I don't know if everyone's going to ask. Last one. Rabosai, good Erev Shabbos. Good Erev Shabbos. A tremendous shkoyach to Reb Zevi for the beautiful, beautiful Nagina. Absolutely incredible. Actually, okay. Can I have one of those sheets? Is there an extra one there? Is that extra? Is that Yehuda's? Chaburah, is there an extra sheet? Go. Yeah.
You're going to come down.
Okay. All right, so we'll say, so a good Erev Shabbos, a tremendous success. Baruch Hashem, to be here with everyone. Shkoyach to Reb Zevi. Where's Rabbi Yisrael? Where's Yisrael? Oh, Yisrael, tremendous shkoyach to Rabbi Yisrael for organizing the food tonight. Really tremendous. Thank you, shkoyach. I'll say, what a privilege it is. Yeah, you have to admit. I just understand what I'm sacrificing for all of you. I've been waiting years for this view, right? And I just want to tell you, I gave it up. I gave it up for you. I gave it up for you. But tell me that it doesn't feel. No, it's okay. I stand here a lot and just look at it. But I'm just saying, like, Baruch Hashem, feels a little bit like as Rabbi Happer said at the Chanukah Zabayis, a shtik Eretz Yisrael, feels a little bit like that. And Baruch Hashem, how long and how hard we've worked and how long it's been, Baruch Hashem, to be able to get to this place. Just remember again, it feels only a week ago that we were using space heaters. Right. Oh, it was a week ago. They were using space heaters, Baruch Hashem. And now we have a great zechus to be able to learn Torah here in the Ribbon Shalom's home. And the truth is, I have to tell you, like, I feel so happy for HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he has such a home like this. Happy for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ribbon Shalom deserves it. He deserves the Beis HaMikdash. That's really what he deserves. But until then, Amir Hashem, it is a schus to provide for him such a beautiful, magnificent, and holy home. And Baruch Hashem, it is a great schus for all of us to be able to fill it with sounds of Torah and sounds of Shira and sounds of Achdus. So shkoyach. Thank you to all of our sponsors for this evening. A shkoyach to Ivan and Melissa Cohn. In honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Incredible. Beautiful. In honor of the Ribbon Shalom. Incredible. Yehuda and Sarah roll with gratitude to the Borei Olam for the new precious baby, Tamar Leah. Mazel tov to the rolls. Mazel tov. Eliyahu Ramenfar, in honor of his wife, Devorah, for her unwavering devotion and support to our family on our 70th anniversary. First of all, you're just making us look bad. Seriously, it's the fourth shir in honor of his anniversary. Enough already. No. Beautiful. And with Mazel Tov to the entire Kehila on the inauguration of our new shul. We thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the release of the 3 hostages, and we pray, Emir Hashem, for the safe return of all of those who are still being held. Tremendous shkoyach to all of our sponsors for tonight. A very special thank you. Also, and of course, thank you. I think I pushed that. So we dedicate our learning, of course, in the zechus of our holy hostages. We hope that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Emir Hashem, returns them back to their mishpachos, b'shalom and b'karov. And in the zechus of our holy soldiers, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu allow them to be successful, b'chol ma'aseh yedehem, to accomplish all of their objectives, and Emir Hashem to be able to return to their families b'shalom and b'karaf. So let's see. With that, let us continue. So we are picking up tonight in section Mem. So we began to dabble in this a little bit last week, but we ran out of time. So we're going to begin Emir Hashem. Well, at least I feel like I want to get through Mem Beis tonight, but I'll be happy with the first page of Mem, at this point. All right, so let's at least let's begin. So the Rebbe says as follows. Well, this is a really profound and powerful piece. The Rebbe says again. There was still extra sheets if anyone needs. An Itchy Weingot, right? Itchy. I didn't see it on the screen. I remember you WhatsApped me in honor of Refuah Shlema for Yosef Ben Riva. We hope that in the merit of our thank you to the Weingots for sponsoring. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah who shavet Refuah Shlema together with Kol Cholei Yisrael. All right, we'll say so. Let's begin section Mem. Ein lecha shevet li'ayim bo es yitzrecha yoser tov me'asher shevet musarcha shel atzmecha. So I will say this is incredible. So let's translate literally and then understand what the Rebbe is trying to say. So shevet, remember again, means a staff. A staff. Now, usually, again, whenever you see shevet, whenever you see staff, what is that usually? What's the connotation, right? What's the association? Usually, authority. Lo yosser shevet mi Yehuda u mechokek mi bein raglav ad ki yavo shila v'lo yikasam. In Parshas Vayechi, Yaakov Avinu's bracha to Yehuda. Lo yosser shevet, the scepter, the staff, shall not pass from Yehuda. So shevet always represents authority. So he says, in lecha shevet la'ayi bos yitzrecha. Shabbos say, remember again, part of the beauty of this, that Tzav is the Piazetzna. He's talking to himself, but he's talking to us, because the truth is we're all in the same boat of the human condition. The Rebbe says, we'll say, what do we all contend with? We all contend with the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara. All of us have it. All of us have it. And some of us contend with multiple Yitzrei Hara. But all of us struggle with something. And, it seems to me, I'll say, I mentioned this before, when it comes, it's almost Elul. It's hard to believe, but it's almost Elul. And, when we think about, again, it's almost Elul. So Hanukkah's behind us. What's next? It's almost Elul. It's almost Elul. So, one of the interesting parts, when we come to Elul, we come to do Tshuva, we come to Aseret Tshuva, I think, I don't know, I'll tell you my experience, but I would assume it's the same thing for many of us. It's not the pshat that usually you come to do Tshuva, and you're like, Ribono Shel Olam, I have all of these new averos that I have committed. Right? Panim Chadoshos Ba'alakan, I'm looking to diversify my spiritual portfolio. Right? I've done all of these new averos. It usually doesn't happen that way. It's interesting, right? I think for many of us, this stuff we're going to do, we did tshuva on this past Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, is very often the same things I've been doing tshuva for the last 10 years, 20 years. Maybe it manifests itself in different ways. But rarely do you find the situation of a person saying, Rebbe Shalom, I committed this Avera this year and I never did it before. Oh, of course, sometimes it happens. But more often than not, I'm struggling with the same thing, the same yetzer, the same desire, want, proclivity, however you want to term it. I'm struggling with the same yetzer. It just manifests itself differently in different stages in life. So the Rebbe says, what do you do about that? What's the eitzah? So the Rebbe says, the eitzah is bring it under control. Now his lashon is la'ayim. What does la'ayim mean? It's actually from Daf Yomi. We just had this in Daf Yomi today. Keitzad ma'ayinin ala eidim. Right? So what does it mean? To threaten or to intimidate. To intimidate. So the Rebbe says, understand what you have to do. Intimidate, take control over your yetzer. So the first thing that the Rebbe teaches us, the first thing before we even go on, is just understand. A lot of times in life we think that we are victims of our yetzer. I have these wants, these pushes, these pulls, these desires, and I can't control it. The first thing the Rebbe says is yes, you can. You are in the driver's seat of your life. You're behind the wheel. You're in charge of you. The buck stops with you. So the first thing the Rebbe says is, if you're going to affect any change in life, you have to believe you could affect change. And to believe that you could affect change, what do you have to believe? What do you have to believe? That you're in control. Because if I don't believe I'm in control, then by definition, I have no ability to affect any level of change. So the first thing the Rebbe says is, again, he's not saying it exclusively, but it's understood. I have to first approach this mahalach understanding I can control my yetzer. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be successful. Doesn't mean I'm always going to win the battles. But it is important to understand I am not a victim of my yetzer. When my yetzer gets the best of me, that is because I allow that to happen. I'm a human being, I'm actively giving in. I'm actively yielding. But I believe, ani mamin, that's what? I am in charge of my yetzer. So once I believe that I have control over my life, okay, now we can begin a conversation. Now that I believe that I have control, how do I literally translate it? How do I intimidate? Or really, how do I pull my yetzer into submission? What's the rod? What's the shevet that one uses to, so to speak, beat their yetzer into submission? How do you do it? I want to say, is this not the you thought you were here for the Chalent and the Poppers, right? And Zevi, right? Isn't it incredible? Isn't this the $1 million question? I've been struggling with this my whole life. How do I control my yetzer? So look what he writes. He says, Yoser Tov, Yoser Tova, me'asher shevet musarcha sha'atzmacha. So here he says it explicitly. The best rod, right, the best staff you could use to beat your yetzer into submission or to rule over your yetzer is what he calls shevet musarcha sha'atzmacha. Your own personalistic staff, which is what we were just saying. The knowledge that I'm in control. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of any of circumstance. I am in control of my life. Is it true that things happen to me sometimes against my will? Absolutely. Is it true that other people do things that negatively, adversely impact me? Absolutely. But with all of those things, I am in control of my life. Shevet musarcha shel atzmecha. There is the shevet. Remember, I will say, we spoke about this a little bit last week. What does musar mean? What is musar? Reproof, right? That's often how we, right? Reproof, rebuke. The truth is, remember again, what's the lashon of musar? Right. Samech, reish, hey. Sar, to move. The study of musar, right, is to teach you to go on a direction in life. That's what musar is. It doesn't really mean, we translate it as rebuke or reproof, but really what it means is a direction, right? The greatest challenge in life is, I'm often rudderless. I'm directionless. I'm directionless. Musar is there to give me a kivun, to give me a direction. So shevet musarcha shel atzmecha. It's your own personal staff that gives you direction in life. V'acharota. So we'll say. So that's the first point the Piaget is making. Is you can control your yetzer. Your yetzer doesn't control you. You control your yetzer. You have a shevet. You have the staff through which you are able to reign in the yetzer. Now he goes on. V'acharota v'musar aklayo shem anim es libo shel adam achar chat'o. V'achar nifilaso, dayim la'atzmam la'ayim alavu l'israchik min akir. So it's interesting. Now, he says there's another powerful tool. What's the other powerful tool? He says the charata. Charata means remorse. Musar haklayos. What's musar haklayos? Right? Kishka. So the truth is, really, in this context, what he's really understanding over here is, it's guilt. There's a profound sense of remorse and guilt after I sin. Piaget says that's powerful and that's important. Remorse and guilt, no one likes feeling remorse and guilt, but remorse and guilt are very powerful emotions. He says, Dayam la'atzmam, those by themselves sometimes, now again, remember, remorse and guilt may not prevent me from committing the Aveira, but often what they will do is they will prevent me from repeating the Aveira. Because the remorse and the guilt that I feel after the fact, the shame, the remorse, the guilt that I feel, is enough to make me not want to do this again. I don't want to feel this way about myself. I don't want to feel this way about my life. And that's a powerful thing. He goes on. Aval da'aka. But the Rebbe says, but just understand, even the pain and the remorse and the guilt and the shame that we feel in the aftermath of sin is not all that powerful. What does he mean? It's not enough. Meaning what? Shigam b'shas charataso laharag liyitzra. Even in that moment of incredible remorse, right? It's not the pshat that I will say, anyone ever have an experience like this? Where you commit an Aveira, after the Aveira, you feel sick. You feel sick about it. I can't believe I did this. I filled with all of the feelings of just shame and pain and guilt. Okay? And then, an hour later, have that same Yetzer Hara again. That ever happened to anyone? No, it happens to me. Hey, Piaget says, isn't that fascinating? Isn't that so? What does that tell you? We'll say the beauty of the Piaget that we've seen through his writings is the whole yesod of the Rebbe's Torah. The whole yesod of the Rebbe's Torah is be in touch with yourself, understand you. Because if you don't understand you can learn a lot of Torah. You're not making any headway in life. So Piaget says, isn't it fascinating that I could commit an Aveira, I could feel sick about that Aveira, upset about that Aveira, ashamed about that Aveira, and yet again that Yetzer comes back all over again. Right? That Yetzer just comes back. He says, why? Because Shagam b'shas charatas laharag liyitzro. Because even in a time of incredible remorse, my Yetzer is still there. I have not demolished the Yetzer. The Yetzer is still present. He goes on, Ubeseser libo kvar miskonein hu lashav ulefagel. This is incredible. Because there's a piece of me in my heart that's revving up for the next Aveira. There's a piece of me. And I both say, we experience this. I feel this disgust over what I did, a real profound sense of disgust. And yet, an hour later, whatever it is, an hour later, 2 days later, or 3 days later, a week later, the same Yetzer is back again with the same intensity. He goes on, he says, Ubishvil zeh, ein ma'asav kol kach ro'im, ve'in libo kol kach dove aleim, at shekim'at yirtze losum sakin belo'o merov ka'aso, v'tza'aro al atzmo, u'mipachado yifchad mitzaro yira yishmar v'yivrach. So I'll say, that's something amazing. He says, to be honest, if a person really felt the full profundity of the culpability of sin, the Rebbe essentially says, one would not be able to live with themselves. They just wouldn't be able to live with themselves. Which I will say, if you think about it, just on a deeper theological level, it's tomorrow's daf. Tomorrow's daf is going to speak about the chet of Adam HaRishon. See, we think about the notion of Avera, the notion of chet, the notion of rebellion against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that here there's a Ribono Shel Olam gives me everything. And in reality, considering what he gives me, he asks so little in return. And yet I have such difficulty meeting basic expectations of the Ribono Shel Olam. Piazetzna says, if a person really grasped the enormity of the failure of sin, they would not be able to live with themselves. So he says, the fact that we can live with ourselves after sin usually means that's what? That again, we don't fully grasp the enormity of it, but also because the Yetzer Hara is still alive in me. It's still there. It's still churning, right? The Yetzer Hara, even in those feelings of shame and guilt and sadness, the Yetzer Hara is revving up, right, for the next machzor. He's revving up for the next episode. He's revving up for the next event. So what do you do? Say, I will say, right, this is what we struggle with all the time. So now, I want to do the right thing. I don't want to keep making the same mistakes, but I don't know how to escape the clutches of the Yetzer Hara. I don't know how to break the cycle. I'm stuck. I'm like the hamster on the wheel. And it's true, different Avera manifests itself at different times, but I want to break the cycle. How do I do it? So look at what it says. We'll say last paragraph, page Shin Pei Aleph. Va'azeh, get ready for this. This is an incredible piece. Va'azeh Amra Gemara. Yaskidam Amisa. Suppose the Gemara Maseches Brachas. The Gemara Maseches Brachas says that if a person, the Olam Yargiz Adam Yetzirah Tova Yetzirah, person should always literally again incite his good inclination, his Yetzirah Tov, over his Yetzer Hara. That's what a person should do. So the Gemara says, so what happens if I can't do that? What happens if I can't self-inspire like that? So the Gemara says, Yaskir lo Yom Hamisa. So the way we normally translate this is, remember the day of death. So I'll say, what's Pasha Pshat? What does remembering the day of death have to do with overcoming your Yetzer Hara? What's the Pshat? There's going to be an accounting. I'm sorry? You're going to see the Lord, right? Well said. Right, hallelujah, right? You're going to see the Lord. It's absolutely true. In other words, the Pasha Pshat in the Gemara is that there's an accounting. After 120, you're going to see the Lord. After 120, there's going to be a day of judgment. So what looks all wonderful and delicious and enjoyable and fantastic now, just understand, you're going to have to give an accounting for it. That's the Pasha Pshat. But the Rebbe says something amazing. He says, "V'lo amru yaskir lo hamisa bilvan." The Rebbe says, but why does the Gemara say yaskir lo yom hamisa? Why does it say remember the day of death? If it was just about remembering the idea that we're going to face God, just say what? Yaskir lo misa or hamaves. One day you're going to die. And when you die, you have to go up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you have to give accounting for your life, and you have to give accounting on everything. And even the stuff that you could explain away to yourself, you can't necessarily explain it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So why Yom HaMisa? Why the day of death? And this is incredible. He says, Ki az biyama achron, sheitz ropas. Rebbe says something amazing. You know, I'll say, he's quoting over here from the Zohar. The Zohar brings down that on the last day of a person's life, they don't have a Yetzer Hara. There's no Yetzer Hara on the day that you die. By the way, what's the raya for this? What's the Zohar's raya for this? Is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu again, it says Vayelech, Parshas Vayelech. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Lo uchal od latseis velavo. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can't come and go anymore. So the Gemara says, Moshe Rabbeinu is old, he's infirm. Moshe Rabbeinu on the last day of his life didn't have a Yetzer Hara. See, the difference is, when you don't have a Yetzer Hara, you also can't grow. There's no growth without a Yetzer Hara. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Lo ucha od latseis v'lavo." I'm immobile without the Yetzer Hara. So the Piazetzin says over here, listen to this. Also, on the day that you die, you have no Yetzer Hara. Listen to this. Ayuma hazuama niglasa lefana b'chol giula. Go al nefesh. So the Piazetzin says, let's think about this. What happens on your day of death, right? On the day that you're going to die. So you don't have any Yetzer Hara. We'll say, what happens when a person has no Yetzer Hara? So the Rebbe says, complete, absolute, unequivocal clarity. And I realized that all of the stuff that I did that I shouldn't have done, what a waste. It's not about punishment. That's not what this is. This is not, it's on the day of my death and I'm scared to meet it's not about fear. And it's not about punishment. It's about a feeling of profound sadness and almost disgust for a life squandered away. All of that time that could have been spent on building myself up was spent with deconstructive behavior. And again, I will say, nothing to do with punishment. This is not about onesh. A person is just overwhelmed. The Rebbe is using very strong wording over here. Ayumas hazuama niglas alafan b'chol geula. Literally, again, we'll just use the Rebbe's words. The disgusting nature of the things that I did are so apparent and obvious in front of me. Goal nefesh v'chol yumechayev ovrim lefanav kiyom katzar shemali al kol gidosav b'shkatzim v'ramasim hevel unevala. And then I look back retrospectively on my life, and I feel the whole thing went by and was filled with just so much. Again, the Rebbe is using very strong lashon over here. So many terrible things, just like shkatzim v'ramasim, creepy, crawly things, just disgusting things. Udvarim hatovim shenintzam bo zeir sham uzeir sham. Did I do good? Did I do good things? Sure, but again, what good did I do? A little bit here and a little bit there. He says, "Kimat einam nikarim legodol miutam ubididasam." Sometimes the good that I've done, it doesn't even register when compared to all of the terrible things, the squandered opportunity, the wasted times. Va'az ma gadol tsa'aro kevo. I will say, can we imagine how much pain a person is on that day? So I will say, this is probably. I will say, can we imagine that person who's on his deathbed? It's his last day in this world. No Yetzer Hara. Complete, unequivocal clarity. He sees himself and he sees life for what it is. And what? He realizes, I was a fool. I spent my whole life, creating alternative spiritual religious frameworks that allowed me, or gave, quote unquote, allowed me to do all the things I wanted to do. Or I had this excuse for this, or this excuse for that is. And then on the day of death, when there's no Yetzer Hara, it becomes abundantly clear that it was smoke and mirrors. I deceived myself. I deluded myself. And I went ahead and I wasted the opportunity for a beautiful and meaningful life. The Rebbe says this is what people go through. I just want to tell you, and then that phrase, V'azma gadol tsa'aro kevo. Can we imagine the pain that a person says? I just want to tell you, as someone who spends a lot of time around death. I know that sounds like a morose statement, but it's true. Just part of the avoda, right? And spends a lot of time with people, who are leaving this world. I cannot begin to tell you how many people experience this in their last days. The feelings of profound remorse for not having lived the best life they could. And I don't mean, I've never heard anyone, been Rabbanis for 25 years, I've never heard anyone say, you know what, I really always wanted to go to Paris, and I just can't believe, I can't believe it, I can't believe I'm leaving the world without going to Paris. I've never heard that. But everything else, I should have learned, I should have spent more time with my family, I should have given tzedakah, I should have been a better person, I should have worked on this. And I will say, and you know what the most profoundly terrible thing is? There's nothing to say back, right? What are you going to say? No, it's okay, right? There's always tomorrow. No, exactly, right? I was and when you hear it, of course, again, sometimes it's also a person not reflecting enough on the good they have done. That is true. I was saying with the PhD, it happens. It happens. The Yetzer Hara is gone. The excuse mechanism is gone. All of the different alternative, the cognitive dissonance is gone. The alternative realities are gone. Everything is gone. And all I have is just an neshama with no Yetzer Hara, so there's complete clarity. And I look back at my life and I'm like, what did I do? Or maybe, what didn't I do? What didn't I do? And the Piaget, the Rebbe says, the pain, the overwhelming, inconsolable pain that must cause. He says, Lama asa, shouldn't pay base. Lama asa kacha, lo tachlis. Why did I do all of that stuff? And I both say, sometimes it's not even about the averis, right? Sometimes it's just engaging in things that are just, they're just meaningless. They're just meaningless. They're just vacuous. None of it. Why did I spend my life? Going down to the deepest levels of impurity, so that I now find myself surrounded by donkeys and dogs. Okay, it's like I said, it's very in Tzav, remember, the Rebbe uses very extreme lashon. He uses very extreme lashon because he's talking in a very raw, very heartfelt, emotional way. He goes on. He says, "Shekvar omdim saviv lemitaso mechakim al nafsho tachas shahaya yachal la'alos al yideim el Hashem el madur ha'atzilos v'nafshu tav al chekavia benom zakos kedusha." Meanwhile, had I lived the life that I should have led on my last day of this world, I could have looked forward to my soul ascending ultimately again to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, finding menucha tachas kanfei Ashchina. As libo yikra, ves nafsho yitrof b'kahwa mirav tzara kebo. And it becomes an inconsolable pain. A total inconsolable pain. There's nothing I could do to make myself feel better about this. Va'az, hi charata amitis. Says the Piazetzna. When does a person experience true charata? One day everyone experiences true charata, your last day in this world. That day when you have no remorse. That day when you have no Yetzer Hara. That day when there's no defense mechanisms that are working or that are activated. That's the day of true and profound charata. Then there's remorse. Rabbi say, but of course, the tragedy of it is this profound remorse. But now, can I do something with that? Of course. Remember, again, the Rambam says in Hilchos Tshuva, a person could do tshuva at any time, right? And as long as you're alive, you can do tshuva. But do I have the ability to really fix things? No, not so much in the full comprehensive. So come full circle. That's why the Rebbe says, if a person is struggling with his Yetzer Hara, what does the Gemara Maseches Brachos say? What do you do? Not yaskir lo hamisa, not just go ahead and say, hey, Ploni, what are you doing? You're going to die. You're going to face the Lord, right? Not just that. Yaskir lo yom hamisa. There's going to be a day that before you die, the day that you're going to die, in which there's no Yetzer Hara, and just you don't want to feel that pain of lost opportunity, that pain of unmaterialized potential, unactualized potential. You don't want to feel that pain. And if you don't want to feel that pain in the future, act differently now. Change your life around now. Yaskir lo yom hamisa, va'od efshar yaskir lo yom hamisa, shagam ma'aseh zeh yiskar b'yom hamisa, yidag v'yitzag alav v'yifachid. And I will say, if a person knows that day is going to come of complete clarity, and whatever I could excuse, whatever I can make up excuses for now, it's kind of going to fall by the wayside. I'm just going to have to give an accounting for my life, and to myself, not even to God. That's a motivation. This could affect change within the individual now. So I will say, isn't this profound? So this is what the Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe says the key to going ahead and subduing the Yetzer Hara, the key to subduing the Yetzer Hara is nothing to do with God. Right? Now let me finish that sentence, right? Something to do about God. The Rebbe is saying it's about how you're going to feel about you. Do you want to be in that moment when you are disappointed in the life that you lived? When you're unhappy with, leave God out of it. Nothing to do with God. Right? God comes later on. God comes when you die. You have to deal with this with God. But even before HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in the picture, there's going to be that day where it's just you with yourself, right? Dying. That's going to happen. It happens to all of us. How about after 120? I will say, but death is an inevitable reality. So that day comes, and that day when there's no Yisrael, there's complete clarity. And how do you want to feel about the life that you lived when you're laying on that bed knowing that your journey to the world to come has begun? How do you want to feel? And there's no smoke and mirrors, and there's no excuses because the Yetzer Hara is gone. And do you want to feel terrible and disappointed and shamed because of the life that I led? Or do I want to be able to say, you know what, sure, I made plenty of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I'm proud of the life I led. I'm proud of the decisions that I made. I did tshuva for the things that I did wrong, but I have nothing to be embarrassed about as I prepare to meet the Ribono Shel Olam. Says the Piazetzna, that's how you subdue the Yetzer Hara. Not that you're going to have to stand judgment before God, but you're going to have to engage in the process of self-judgment with yourself. Right? You're going to have to judge. You're going to be judging yourself on that last day in this world. And you don't want to be one of those people who's disappointed with you. Because we all know this. We all know this. When we're young, we think that the ikr is not to disappoint other people. But as we get older, we recognize that you cannot spend your life trying to impress, please, or make other people happy. It doesn't work. The one person you have to be true to, and the one person you have to be honest with, is you. Are you happy with you? Are you content with you? Are you satisfied with the life that you're living? And maybe I could come up with a whole bunch of excuses for why I'm underperforming now. But just know, Yaskol Yom HaMisa, when the Yetzer Hara goes away in this complete clarity, I want to be proud of the day that I lived, or the life that I lived. And therefore the Rebbe says, this is the shape. So going back, this will conclude. So Rebbe, remember again, this is what the Rebbe called. He called this the shevet musarcha shel atzmecha, the personalistic shevet, the personalistic staff, or the staff of personalistic musar. That's the way to subdue Yetzer Hara. And what's the staff of personalistic musar? A remembrance of that last day in this world, when all I have is me and myself. I have to engage in an honest inventory of the life that I lived, and I want to be proud. I want to be happy, and I want to be content. All right, so stop over here for tonight. Shkoyach, everyone. Myra will Hashem be in the base medrash. Shkoyach, everyone. Yes, I'll say, if you don't mind, these chairs came from the main shul, so if you're able to just take your chair and you can just put it right inside. Don't hit the doors or the walls. Thank you.
Thank you. The person doesn't have Yetzer Hara on his last day.